It was a Sunday morning in spring, about 5 years ago. And we were approaching the holy days, which meant we were doing the same thing we do every year about the same time, cleaning out the leavening. While I worked in the basement, Sarah and Katie were working on the bedrooms on the main floor. I was taking a break when I realized that the things were really quiet up there. Checking on the ladies, I was immediately asked to go get boxes and plastic bags. Intrigued by the request, I brought up what I could find. They had gone way beyond standard unleavened bread cleaning. Sure, some sin or leavening was found, but this was no longer about leavening. Storage bins had been opened. Her closet had been emptied. And the two of them were examining all of Katie's possessions, determining whether to keep them or dispose of them, and how to do so. You know, Katie turned 16 that spring, and she decided when they were cleaning up, it was time to make space for the future. These were all nice things that they were looking at. My daughter's fussy about her things, or always has been. She likes things to be just right. So these weren't things, for the most part, that were getting thrown away. These weren't bad things. These were going to be gifts for younger friends or younger girls in the congregation. These were going to be donations for people she didn't know, or repackaged for the future. Be it her American Doll Sunshine, with all her accessories and books, her cat stuff, her art kits, all of it. She had sometime determined they were all worth having. They were all valued possessions. They were all worth keeping and storing away. Now somehow obviously I wasn't talking well into the mic. Now somehow through some confluence of events, there was a re-examination going on. As a dad, I at first wasn't sure how I felt about that. Yeah, I had emotional connections to some of the memories that she was looking to do away with myself. I also realized that this was a physical example of what we need to do ourselves in our lives every so often spiritually. From time to time, mentally and spiritually, we need to do this. We need to examine things. I realized I myself was overdue for a systems check and a purge of my own. Now, we've just gone through unleavened bread and should have examined ourselves for sin, but my message today really isn't about sin. It's about all those things that get in the way of our growth. Sports, hobbies, work, TV, things that aren't sin if kept in their proper place. Many times things like this start out well. Then without our realizing it, they start to bleed over into time promised for more deserving things. I've had this issue at time to time with computer games. They start out as small little things. You're building something, you're growing something, however it works. And it starts out as a way to relax or decompress. A village building game can take a little bit of time. They're also designed, especially the online ones, to grab you and slowly suck away your life. Then it's time for that systems purge. Katie had several piles of stuff. It would explain the need for multiple boxes. Like I said, things to throw away, things to sell, things to give away to girls she knew. So step one is to separate what is needed in our lives from everything else. Our list of priorities in this case should be headed by God, our family, and work, in that order. God includes, of course, prayer time, Bible study, and services. Family needs come next, and then work, because work is about supporting your family. and then everything else needs to be examined. So we focus on everything not on that first list. Question 1, is this activity still acceptable? When I was first married, and before I was married, I used to play a version of games called first-person shooters, which literally is what it sounds like. You're going through a basement or a dungeon or whatever, shooting the things that pop out, and sometimes not shooting the things you shouldn't shoot. I didn't see the harm in them. It was an escape. Until my wife asked me a simple question. When we have children, are you going to want them to watch you play this? No. No, I threw them away, and frankly, I'm still embarrassed I needed her to ask the question. Please turn to Philippians. Philippians 4. I love your podium. Got a big new Bible, and it doesn't really fit in Chicago. Philippians 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are honest, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there's any virtue, if there any praise, think on these things. Everything we do, everything we think about needs to go through this filter. I've been meditating again on my enjoyment of football as compared to this verse and some of the things that I'm starting to find out, and they're starting to find out about football even, and found myself less inclined to watch it. And things that I've run through this filter before and were acceptable in the past maybe aren't now, which is why re-examining. So question 2. It went through the filter. It was okay. Is it holding back my growth? We're all expected to grow in grace and knowledge. So anything that slows or stops that process needs to be discarded. We don't want it said of us what it said in Hebrews 5. Hebrews 5, starting in verse 11. Of whom we have many things to say, it is hard to be uttered, seeing you are dull of hearing. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again the first principles of the oracles of God, are become such as need milk and not strong meat. For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he's a babe. But strong meat belongs to them that are of full age, even those by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Once again, the filter. Question 3, and this is the tough one for me. Can I do this in moderation? Because in a lot of things, like I said, the computer games and other things, moderation is a problem I have personally. If looking forward, you can see an activity will complicate your life and infringe on important things such as God and your family, it might be best just to let it go. If you're not sure how much time you spend on something, keep a log of it. I did this with a couple of the things that I thought were okay. That somebody who sits right next to me told me you're spending way too much time on that. No, she's wrong. Until I started to count up the time I had spent on that log. Question 4. Is this the time for this activity? This is a little different from the first 3 questions. This would have been one of the things Katie saved but stored away. She didn't save her special doll in her books to bring out sometime when she felt again like playing with her friends when they were all in their mid-20s. This was to do when, hopefully in the future, a daughter was there. something to bond the two of them together, to build a tighter relationship. That spring, I realized it was time to end one of my favorite activities, or at least to put a pause on it. Every summer, I went to summer camp, the church summer camp at Pinecrest with my kids. That year, Katie was 16, Joshua was 19. I really wasn't that necessary. They didn't really need me there with them. And they might not have needed me there with them at the start, but I needed to be there at the start. The last few years, I've gone to scout camp with David. Now, he'll be going this year to Pinecrest. I'm still going to scout camp with him because they overlap, and Joshua and Katie are still at Pinecrest. They're counselors there now. They're teaching other people. I look forward to perhaps when Sarah and I can together go to camp and we can watch our youngest. Who knows, maybe some year we get all 5 of us there. Like I got to watch the older 2. There is a time for every purpose. Final question. And this one really should be the second half of each of the first 4 questions. Have we prayed for guidance? Please turn to Proverbs 3. Proverbs 3, verse 5. Trust in the Lord with all your might, and lean not on your own understanding. Don't try to do it yourself. Don't try to figure it out yourself. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. The thing to remember is that we will need to re-examine ourselves all over again, and again, and again. And not just because we have stumbled, sometimes we will have, but because we will always hopefully be growing. And as we grow, we'll realize there's always more growing and examination to do.